Some of those holes that held either statues or supports for awnings or something along that line, and we can see more occasionally. Along the leading edge, an embellishment. Probably there was more, but the curve remains. This pocking was part of the design. I'm guessing that it was sharper, of course, like the part underneath here, see? It's all eroded in here. You can see where there would have been perhaps straight lines and even more detail. Who knows what was in here? What are these pock marks for? As we've seen before, the cut back in the seat give you more leg room. But none of those fancy little graphic things that we saw on the other. Presumably large groups or large things like a horse and chariot could come through those portals, and yet there were the individual doors. There's one and another over there. Probably some kind of paintings were on the wall surfaces in between those faux columns. We'll look up. That would have all been completed. Whether there was more depth than what we're seeing, I don't know. Whether that level could be used for acting, I don't know. But there are statues there replicating what it might have looked like, and it probably was the same there. Dropping down, more pedestals that would have held statues. I don't know much about their theater, whether it was highly stylized or what. The other either statues or more columns and arcades, if you will, were here. And there gives some suggestion that these panels were filled in not just with coloring, but maybe with actual stone. The groove on the side of that reconstructed column, faux column, fits the groove here, so presumably that was the lock for a stone filling in all of these. Most are reproductions. This one may be the original, what's left of it. The fine edging detail there may have been what I'm talking about that was on the edge of the seat, the bottom seat. Looks as though these columns, if this column is not a complete reproduction, might have been composed of pieces of stone and then plastered to finish them off to look like that. Here, a small lapidarium. Gotta use that word. That, of course, piece might have been either a base or was in the exact opposite vertical orientation. Archaeologist, no doubt, has translated what the words on this face were. Maybe they quoted great poets or theater playwrights of their time. Notice the detail in the stonework, even those portions that are not restored, and the little niche there to hold something. Could very well have held something like a plaque, a brass plaque, sign, if you will. Those hold. This was on top of a column, but maybe not. Remains of some of the rooms. There were probably more than that. It's interesting, a modern day device. It looks like this big rock that's shattered has huge cables around it to keep it from tumbling inevitably down on the houses beneath it. Again, another statue pedestal with its script on it in some language. Standing center stage, at least on the second level, to pan about. It appears that the only accesses for spectators was from either the top or through that portal there. What a lovely theater. I'm about to do, I think. Presumably the actors then could climb to even the highest level. I could, I can't. It's old steps. Facing here is probably a reconstruct, but imagine the actors coming in here for some momentous moment in the play, being greeted by the cheers of the number of people this theater could hold. Looks like most of this is a reconstruct. You can see it, I doubt you can, but this stone is very much concave right here from use. How much of that concavity came from 2,000 years ago? The original stones, we can see the wear very clearly. And what was that hole for? Vendors along this wall here. Similar stone, but here a reconstruct stone for some reason in the same manner. Or the original in the same position. Imagine people streaming in, elegantly dressed perhaps after a lovely dinner somewhere, just like we would do today. Why wouldn't they do the same? To it. This surrounded or semicircular area, what was it for? It doesn't seem to be replicated anywhere else. After a play here, leaving, thinking to yourself, what a rich life you live. I mean intellectually. Being a Roman, very much like being an American, or European, or Japanese. Here, the original arch, it looks like. It was probably plastered over and to look very beautiful. It's a soft stone. You can see how the water has eroded it. From this point on up to there might have been the same kind of vaulting that we saw in the restored section of the Odeon. And I walked the Forum. I walked on the Appian Way through the Forum and thought to myself that walking on such stones as this, I would have walked on the same stones that felt the pressure of Caesar and Augustus and all the rest of the boys. This house yesterday.